Hey, how's it going? So today I'm going to talk about lead vocals. And I mean, this video has been done a million times. You can find great advice online on how to mix lead vocals and the importance of it. But I kind of just wanted to share my process of what I do. The biggest thing is when vocals are in a song, they are the important things to hear. You want to be able to hear the articulation. You want to be able to hear the words that they're saying. There's nothing worse than hearing great melody and great song, but not being able to fully understand what the artist is saying. So the example that I'm going to use today is a track just released on my label called Dreaming Out Loud Records, and it's by the artist Jordan, and the song's called Better. So if you look what I have going on here, I have a lead vocal bus that you can see that is up here, and I have multiple tracks. I have a hook main track, a distorted vox, and a verse vox that is all going into that lead vocal bus. And essentially it's the same bus processing, but it's on multiple tracks, and I just wanted to separate them so it'd be easy to kind of fade in between each one. But instead of running all those plugins on 3 different tracks, I just run it on one bus. It saves time. So the biggest thing I always think about when it comes to vocals is control. And the biggest thing too is sibilance. I always think that sibilance is the difference between a pro level track and just a, amateur level track, is how well the sibilance is controlled. So I do multiple things to make sure that sibilance sounds good. The vocal chain, this vocal was recorded in my studio here. I used the Universal Audio Apollo, and I used the Unison stuff. So I used the UA Neve 1073 and the UA, the LA2A that was just used on the Apollo. And I have a Neumann U87. So that's the vocal. So let's take a listen to the vocal. This is just the chorus, and it's the lead vocal of the song soloed by itself.
Bet you're wondering how it all turned out. You know that I'm all good now. I'm better without you. In the end, I know it all worked out. I had to go and find myself. I'm better without you.
Now, one thing right away I know with Neumann microphones is that they kind of duck out, especially in the U87. I find it holds that sibilance pretty well. So you can hear on his vocal take that the sibilance isn't crazy, which is good. But first thing that I'm going to do is I'm using the Waves Renaissance de-esser, and I use it on a shelf mode. And the biggest thing is just to grab those top peaks. The thought process is control all of the top end, and then we can add it back later. So if we play it, so normally I try to get around 3 to 5 dB, that it's kind of kicking back the sibilance. So we'll kind of set this a little bit better.
Bet you're wondering how it all turned out. You know that I'm all good now. I'm better without you. In the end,
there's very few words that are really jumping, but at least we know now that when they jump, the de-esser is going to take it. After that, I love Slate Digital stuff. I have their everything bundle. I think it's awesome. You pay $15 a month and you get all their stuff. And I'm using their virtual channel with a ton of drive. I just love using the Neve setting with a ton of drive here on the virtual channel, going into the FG Stress, which is an emulation of the Distressor, and then the FGA, which is an API EQ. So we'll kind of just go in, show you what's going on with the Distressor, and then move into the API.
Bet you're wondering how it all turned out. You know that I'm all good now. I'm better without you. In the end, I know it all worked out. I had to go and find myself.
So essentially what I'm trying to do with that is, yet again, like 3 dB of reduction. I'm using multiple compressors in this vocal chain. So I'm not trying to slam one. I'm just trying to use multiple compressors, just each doing its own little part. On the FGA, following that is an EQ. So I do DS compress, then EQ. this is, you know, a lot of people ask, do you EQ first, compress first? I end up compressing first, just the way that sounds best to my ear. Not saying that the other way is wrong, but we have the 20K boost by 4dB. I find that's like super high air band. That sounds great. I got a 5K boost by, oh, what did I have it by? It looked by just by about 1 dB. I'm cutting out 600 hertz. So these are all frequencies that I'm kind of sweeping and finding. So if we play this,
bet you're wondering how it all turned out. You know that I'm all good now. I'm better without you.
this 50 hertz is the super low. I find it cleans up the low end.
In the end, I know it all worked
That
out.
high end sounds super nice on this FGA, like awesome. After that, I go into the C6, which is like, I find is the best of both worlds. You're getting compression and it feels like EQ, so selectable compression. These are kind of the areas that I'm cutting. 1K, where
bet you're wondering how it all turned out.
that nasaliness is something that I personally really don't like. And then we have another cut here at 2K that's kind of a really narrow band.
Bet you're wondering how it all turned out. You know that I'm all good now. I'm better without you.
You can see that these two bands are also doing slight dips with the sibilance. So I use this as also like a de-esser on these upper two bands. You can see them kind of working that high end, which is good. Going into Arvox, this is just the bomb vocal compressor. It's really easy to use. There's three, really two, but three parameters, and it really drives your vocal right to the front. So
bet you're wondering how it all turned out. You know that I'm all good now. I'm better without you.
and not really showing, any extra makeup gain, but you can hear that vocal just get pushed just a little bit more. So Arvox is the bomb. And finalizing to add back all that high end that we've been controlling and everything like that, I use the Waves Pultec or Puig Tech EQ. So we're getting an attenuation band at 10K. So as I boost the high frequencies here at 12K, I'm also dipping down a little bit of 10K. I find the 10K gets really, really harsh. We are cutting out a bit of whatever. I don't know exactly what these parts are set at. I just kind of go by ear and then giving a boost by 100 hertz. And essentially, after all my plugins are done, this is where we're at.
Bet you're wondering how it all turned out. You know that I'm all good now. I'm better without you.
And then with nothing,
bet you're wondering how it all turned out. You know that I'm all good now. I'm better without you.
so I'm not changing too much of the performance. Everything of its essence is still there, cleaned up. You can tell the vocals very controlled. And then if we listen to it in the mix,
bet you're wondering how it all turned out. You know that I'm all good now. I'm better without you. In the end, I know it all worked out. I had to go and find myself. I'm better without you. Better without you. I would say I miss.
and yeah, that's kind of lead vocal tips. There's no real right or wrong. I always say that to people, as long as it sounds good. So that's kind of my process. I'm going to do another video on just sends and delays, I think, to kind of show what I'm doing in that department. But yeah, any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to them.